Chosen one, there comes a moment in every soul's story when the world around you grows strangely silent, when the faces you once depended on begin to fade into the background, and the footsteps that used to echo beside yours become distant memories swallowed by time. In that moment, when the noise of life falls away and the laughter you once shared with familiar voices drifts into a quiet you didn't ask for, your heart trembles with the question, "Why must I walk this path alone?" But hear this truth that the heavens whispered the moment you were formed. Sometimes God removes every hand from your life so He can place His own on your shoulder. Sometimes He allows the room around you to empty so He Himself can sit beside you. And sometimes He leads you into the wilderness not to punish you, but to meet you there. Because solitude is not always loneliness. It is often the sacred soil where destiny first breaks open. You had to walk alone because the crowd would have talked you out of the promise. You had to walk alone because familiarity would have kept you small. You had to walk alone because the comfort of human company cannot compare to the wisdom of divine companionship. And though your heart may have quivered when the journey grew quiet, though your nights felt long and your spirit felt stretched thin, heaven kept walking with you even when you thought you were abandoned. Chosen one, the solitude that was placed upon you was not a burden, it was a calling. The quiet that wrapped itself around your life was not an accident, it was an invitation. God did not leave you to wander through empty fields of uncertainty. He stripped away the distractions so you could finally hear the sound of your own soul breathing. He needed you to feel the weight of your purpose without the interference of voices that were never meant to carry you. For too long, you depended on the presence of others to validate the direction of your steps. For too long you clung to the opinions of people whose vision could not match the magnitude of your calling. For too long, you sought comfort in places that could never hold the fullness of your becoming. And so, with the gentleness of a father and the firmness of a sculptor, God put space between you and everything that kept you tethered to mediocrity. He separated you from the noise not to break you, but to build you. He separated you from crowds not to punish you, but to purify you. He separated you from the familiar, not to make you feel unwanted, but to usher you into the realm where the extraordinary can finally reach you. When the silence came, it came like a storm you didn't see coming. People you trusted drifted away with no explanation. Friends you gave everything to suddenly found reasons not to show up. Love that once felt warm turned cold. And shoulders you leaned on became distant shadows that no longer recognized your weight. And with every loss your chest tightened, your breath shortened, your mind searched endlessly for answers. You asked yourself what you did wrong, why life suddenly shifted, why your circle grew smaller than it had ever been. But let me tell you something holy. Sometimes losing people is the first sign that you are gaining God. Sometimes rejection is a divine rescue. Sometimes abandonment is protection wearing a disguise. The distance they created was not because you were unworthy. It was because you were destined. They walked away because they could not carry the next version of you. They left because they were never meant to witness the power God was about to release through your life. Chosen one, the path you walk is narrow, and narrow paths do not leave room for crowds. You were not designed to be understood by everyone. You were not created to fit into the molds others made for themselves. You were crafted with precision, shaped with intention, and marked with a calling that requires separation. And separation, though painful, is necessary for elevation. God is the gardener of your soul, and sometimes He must prune away the branches that no longer bear fruit. He must remove the connections that hinder your growth. He must strip away the dependencies that limit your vision. And while it may feel like loss, heaven sees it as preparation. You are being prepared for something far greater than the comfort of companionship. You are being prepared for a destiny that requires clarity, strength, and an unshakable relationship with the one who called you. But let me speak to your heart, the heart that wonders why the nights feel heavier when the world grows quiet, the heart that aches for presence, for warmth, for someone to say, "I see you." The heart that has cried behind closed doors, trying to understand why your journey feels so different from everyone else's. O chosen soul, your tears have not fallen unnoticed. Every drop has been collected by the one who walks beside you. Every ache has been recorded. Every lonely moment has been heard in the heavens. And though your solitude may feel like a valley, it is actually a holy ground, because God does his best work in the quiet. He shapes destiny in the dark. He molds greatness in isolation. The greatest transformations do not happen under the spotlight. They happen in the hidden places where only God can see. You may not realize it yet, but you were never truly alone. When you sat with your thoughts feeling like the world had forgotten you, God was there, whispering strength into your bones. When you wiped your tears at midnight, believing no one understood your pain, God was there, gathering each tear as evidence of your resilience. When you felt misunderstood, overlooked, or abandoned, God stood beside you as the one who knows you fully, loves you endlessly, and carries you constantly. He allowed the path to narrow so your eyes could finally lift upward. He removed the people you were depending on so your heart could lean on him. He allowed the silence to fall so his voice could rise. Chosen one. There is a kind of walk that only the destined must take. A walk that strips you, stretches you, molds you, and strengthens you. A walk that requires courage when you feel weak, endurance when you feel tired, and faith when you cannot see the road ahead. And though it may not feel fair, though it may not feel easy, though it may not feel beautiful while you are in it, this walk is the very thing shaping the greatness within you. You were called to stand in places others could not stand. You were called to see what others could not see. You were called to carry what others could not bear. And because of that, your path had to be different. Your journey had to be lonelier. Your process had to be deeper. You had to walk alone because your purpose is not ordinary. Let me tell you something only the chosen understand. Isolation precedes revelation. Every prophet, every warrior, every leader, every world shifter had a season where God separated them from the crowd and pulled them into the quiet. Not to punish them, but to prepare them. The wilderness is where clarity is born. The silence is where wisdom grows. The solitude is where purpose becomes undeniable. You were hidden so you could be strengthened. You were isolated so you could be instructed. You were separated so you could be saturated with divine understanding. God doesn't call the weak, he strengthens the called. And he strengthens them in solitude, away from the noise, away from the doubt, away from the distractions that would have diluted their faith. Do you know why your heart has always felt deeper than others? Why your spirit feels heavy even when nothing seems wrong? Why you sense things others can't explain? It is because you carry a calling that requires spiritual sensitivity. You cannot be numb in a world that needs your discernment. You cannot be distracted in a world that needs your clarity. You cannot be surrounded by noise when your purpose requires divine instruction. God needed to train your ears to hear his whisper. He needed to condition your heart to feel his nudge. He needed to teach your spirit how to recognize his footsteps. And so he pulled you away. Not because you were forgotten, but because you were chosen. Chosen one. Your loneliness was the classroom where wisdom came to sit beside you. Your solitude was the sanctuary where God revealed your true identity. Your quiet season was the divine cocoon where the old version of you was shed and the new version was formed. And though people saw your silence and thought you were breaking, heaven saw your silence and knew you were being built. You were not falling apart, you were being rearranged. You were not being abandoned. You were being aligned. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. God was working behind the scenes, stitching strength into your soul, weaving purpose into your steps, and wrapping courage around your spirit. You had to walk alone so you could meet the version of yourself that only solitude can reveal. The strongest parts of you were discovered in the quiet, far from applause and validation. The boldest parts of you emerged in the silence, where you learned to stand on your own 2 feet. The most powerful parts of you were awakened in the stillness, where you realized that you carry divine breath within you. Because when all you have left is God, you learn that God is enough. And when you learn that God is enough, you become unstoppable. There is a fire inside you that was lit in the moments you thought you were alone. A fire that grew brighter every time you chose faith over fear. A fire that strengthened every time you got back up after being knocked down. A fire that refuses to go out because it was ignited by the divine. People did not see the nights you held yourself together. They did not hear the prayers you whispered through trembling lips. They did not witness the battles you fought in silence. But God saw, God heard, God knew. and now he is ready to reward what you endured in private. Chosen one, the season of walking alone was never meant to last forever. It was only meant to prepare you for the place where God Himself walks beside you in ways you have never felt before. Your relationship with Him is deeper now. Your discernment is clearer now. Your spirit is stronger now. You can see through the masks people wear. You can sense energy before words are spoken. You can feel truth beneath the surface. You have been spiritually upgraded. And every upgrade requires isolation. But hear me now, the season you are entering will not look like the season you survived. The valley you walked through alone will lead you to mountains where God will place people who match your spirit, honor your calling, and walk with you instead of against you. The loneliness you endured has purified your connections. You will never again settle for people who drain you. You will never again cling to what God removed. You will never again apologize for being chosen. You have learned the value of your own soul. You have learned the strength of your own spirit. You have learned the sound of God's voice. And now you cannot be manipulated, misled, or mistaken about who you are. You did not walk alone in vain. You walked alone so God could walk with you in power. You walked alone so your eyes could lift higher. You walked alone so your faith could deepen. You walked alone so your destiny could unfold. And even now, heaven is preparing to place you where your voice will matter, where your presence will shift atmospheres, where your story will break chains in others. You will become the very reminder that others need, that walking alone is not the end. It is the beginning of transformation. Chosen one, stand tall, lift your chin, square your shoulders. You have survived what was meant to silence you. You have walked through fire and emerged with glory on your skin. You have cried rivers that watered the seeds of your purpose. You have endured storms that washed away the impurities in your circle. You have faced emptiness and discovered the fullness of God. And now your steps carry wisdom. Your voice carries authority. Your presence carries divine weight. Never again will you question your worth. Never again will you shrink to make others comfortable. Never again will you dim your light to fit in rooms you have outgrown. The walk alone taught you that your value does not come from who walks with you. It comes from who walks within you. And He has been shaping you, loving you, and leading you every single step. You are not stepping into your future alone. You are stepping into it aligned with the Creator of the universe. So breathe in deeply, chosen one. Feel the weight of your old self falling away. Feel the strength rising in your bones. Feel the divine presence that has always been beside you. This is your moment to walk boldly, to speak fearlessly, to love deeply, to rise consistently, to move courageously, and to trust unshakably. God is no longer just around you. He is walking with you. He is guiding your steps. He is guarding your path. He is whispering wisdom into your spirit. He is opening doors you didn't even knock on. He is lifting you into places you didn't even know you were qualified for. You will look back one day and say, I thought I was alone, but God was carrying me. You will look back and see how every lonely night, every quiet season, every empty room, every silent tear, every unanswered question was shaping you into someone extraordinary. You will see how solitude became your strength. You will see how silence became your teacher. You will see how isolation became your awakening. You will see how walking alone became the pathway to walking with God. And when that day comes, when your purpose unfolds, when your blessings overflow, when your peace settles, when your joy returns, when your strength radiates, remember this truth: you were never alone. You only walked through a season where God muted the world so you could finally hear Him. Chosen one, you had to walk alone so God could walk with you. And now that He walks with you, you will never walk alone again. Chosen one, even now as your spirit begins to rise from the ashes of what you once endured, let me tell you that your story is still blooming, still unfolding, still stretching its wings toward a horizon that your past could never touch. You are not done becoming. You are not done transforming. You are not done reaching the depths of who you were always meant to be. There is more strength in you than you have ever allowed yourself to claim. There is more grace in you than anyone has ever taught you to honor. There is more power in your steps than the world has yet seen. And all of it, every drop of wisdom, every ounce of courage, every breath of resilience, was planted in the soil of those lonely nights, those quiet mornings, those seasons where you felt unseen. That was not emptiness. That was divine preparation. That was the moment God dug his hands into the hidden places of your soul and began shaping you into someone the future needs. You see, chosen one, there are moments in life when God separates you not only from people, but also from the version of yourself that could not handle your next level. There are layers of identity that must fall away before you step into your destiny. There are fears that must be silenced. There are insecurities that must be burned away. There are wounds that must be healed, not with the temporary balm of human comfort, but with the eternal touch of divine restoration. You had to walk alone so those layers could fall off. You had to walk alone so the false identities you wore to survive could finally be shed. You had to walk alone so God could peel back the masks the world forced onto you and reveal the radiant, resilient, unstoppable soul beneath them. Your solitude did not diminish you, it revealed you. And now, as you continue forward, feel the shift happening inside you. Feel how your spirit no longer bends under the weight of opinions. Feel how your mind no longer trembles at the thought of walking a path others do not understand. Feel how your heart no longer begs for validation from those who never valued your light in the first place. That is what divine companionship does. It strengthens you from the inside until the outside world can no longer shake your foundation. You have become rooted, chosen one. Rooted in purpose, rooted in faith, rooted in a relationship with God that cannot be broken by abandonment, silence, or betrayal. The loneliness you endured carved out a space where God's presence could settle so deeply within you that now, even in a crowded room, you carry a quiet that feels like peace. There is something sacred about a person who has walked alone and survived. Something sacred about a soul that has learned to be its own companion, its own encourager, its own guardian when the world grew cold. Do you know what God was teaching you? He was teaching you not to crumble when others leave. He was teaching you not to break when life shifts. He was teaching you not to fall apart when external voices grow silent. You learn to hear your own voice. You learn to honor your own needs. You learn to listen to the divine whisper inside your chest. That is the kind of strength that cannot be faked. That is the kind of strength that cannot be taken away. That is the kind of strength that only comes from walking alone with God. Imagine, chosen one, the version of you that is emerging now, the version who is no longer afraid of solitude because solitude became your sanctuary. The version who is no longer afraid of being misunderstood because you finally understand yourself. The version who is no longer afraid of loss because you have learned that anything God removes was never meant to stay. This new you does not cling desperately to what leaves. This new you does not collapse when life grows quiet. This new you has learned to walk with God, not just talk about God. That is the difference between those who are chosen and those who are simply moving through life. Many speak of faith, but few have walked through deserts holding only faith in their hands. Many claim strength, but few have survived storms without shelter. You survived without shelter so that God Himself could become your covering. You may not realize it yet, but heaven has been applauding you in moments where you thought you were failing. Every time you wiped your own tears, heaven applauded. Every time you chose hope instead of bitterness, heaven applauded. Every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it, heaven applauded. Every time you got up after being broken, heaven applauded. Every time you kept walking when your knees shook, heaven applauded. Your journey has been witnessed by the divine. Not one step was ignored. Not one tear was wasted. Not one prayer was unheard. You have been walking through a chapter of your story where God has been both your audience and your author. And now, chosen one, something extraordinary is happening. Your past is loosening its grip. Your wounds are beginning to close. Your spirit is reclaiming its fire. You are no longer walking with the heaviness of someone who is searching. You are walking with the certainty of someone who is guided. And when God guides, He does not guide you halfway. He does not lead you to the brink of transformation only to abandon you. He walks with you fully, faithfully, relentlessly. Even in moments when you felt nothing, He was everything. Even when you felt forgotten, He was closer than breath. Even when your hands were empty, His were full. And He has been carrying blessings, breakthroughs, and divine appointments with your name written across them. The road you walk now is not the road you began on. You are stepping into a season of divine clarity, a season where the fog lifts and your purpose stands tall before you. A season where the wrong people cannot approach you, because your spirit will identify them before they speak. A season where opportunities will begin to chase you, because you have aligned yourself with heaven's rhythm. A season where your loneliness will be replaced with connections that honor your soul, relationships that respect your calling, and communities that match your growth. But understand this: you will not cling to them out of need anymore. You will recognize them as blessings, not lifelines. Because God taught you how to stand alone, so you would never again depend on anything or anyone more than Him. There is a future version of you looking back at this very moment with gratitude. That version of you is saying, "Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for walking through the solitude. Thank you for trusting God when it made no sense. Thank you for holding on when your heart was weary." Your future self is proud of you, chosen one. Proud of your endurance. Proud of your faith. Proud of the way you kept your heart open even after being hurt. Proud of the way you continued to love even when you felt unloved. Proud of the way you continued to rise even when the world tried to drag you down. And let me tell you something deeply true. There will come a day, soon, where everything you suffered through will make sense. You will meet opportunities that feel tailor-made for your spirit. You will walk through doors that were locked for others. You will receive answers to prayers you whispered when you felt weak. You will feel peace that does not waver. You will feel joy that does not escape. You will feel God's presence in ways that move you to tears. Not because you are broken, but because you are healed. You did not walk alone so that you would be left alone. You walked alone so that God could clear the path, remove the hindrances, realign your steps, and purify your journey. You walked alone so that nothing and no one could interfere with the transformation He was preparing within you. You walked alone so that He could walk with you in a way that no human presence could replace. And now, chosen one, you carry a presence that people will feel even before you speak. You carry a strength that does not require explanation. You carry a wisdom that cannot be bought. You carry a peace that cannot be shaken. That is what divine companionship produces. So as you move forward, walk like someone who knows they are never alone again. Walk like someone who knows heaven is backing them. Walk like someone who has survived their own shadows. Walk like someone who has heard God whisper in the silence. Walk like someone whose purpose is calling their name. The world will notice your glow. The world will feel your shift. The world will recognize that there is something different about you, something refined, something powerful, something holy. You had to walk alone so God could walk with you. And now that He walks with you, chosen one, every step you take will carry the weight of heaven behind it. You are not the same. You are rising. You are becoming. You are stepping into a life that fits the greatness within you. And nothing, not loneliness, not fear, not doubt, not the past, can stop what God is unfolding in you now. Chosen one, even now as the echoes of your transformation continue to ripple through your spirit, there is more, so much more, that heaven is preparing to reveal to you. Your journey is not a single revelation, not a single awakening, not a single moment of clarity. No, your becoming is a continuous unfolding, a never-ending rising, a divine blooming that happens layer by layer, breath by breath, step by sacred step. You have not yet reached the depth of who you are. You have only touched the edges, and God in His tenderness is still leading you deeper, still guiding you higher, still whispering truths that will expand your soul beyond anything you imagined when the world around you grew silent. You may think you understand why you walked alone, but chosen one, there is a greater meaning woven between the lines of your story. One so profound that only time, spirit, and divine light can fully unveil it. There were moments in your solitude when you felt the weight of your own thoughts pressing against your heart. Moments when you tried to silence your fears, but they rose like storms inside you. In those moments you wondered if anyone truly saw you, if your life mattered, if your pain had a purpose. But understand this: every fear you confronted alone became courage. Every doubt you battled alone became wisdom. Every weakness you faced alone became strength. Walking alone forced you to stand face to face with the parts of yourself you once hid beneath noise, distraction, and companionship. You met your wounds, you met your insecurities, you met your longing, you met your truth. And though that meeting may have shaken you, it also awakened you. God allowed you to stand in front of the mirror of your soul so you could finally see the masterpiece He had been carving through the years. And now, as you continue to grow, you can sense it deep in your bones. The way your spirit has expanded, the way your intuition has sharpened, the way your heart has softened and strengthened all at once. Solitude did not harden you. It refined you. It taught you discernment. It taught you patience. It taught you how to feel deeply without drowning, how to think clearly without spiraling, how to speak truth without trembling. You have learned the art of listening, not to the chaos of the world, but to the quiet nudges of the divine. And that is a gift, chosen one, a rare gift that only those who walk alone ever discover. The world teaches people to shout, but solitude teaches them to listen. And you, through your tears, through your silence, through your long nights of introspection, learn to listen. Hear me. You are no longer the person who once begged for understanding. You no longer seek validation from places that failed to honor your spirit. Your worth no longer hinges on who stays or who leaves. Your heart is no longer shaped by the opinions of those who never saw your depth. You have stepped into a realm of inner knowing, where your value is anchored in your identity, not in your connections. And because of that, your energy has changed. Your presence has changed. Your vibration has risen. People can feel the shift in you even before you speak. Some will be drawn to it. Some will be intimidated by it. Some will not understand it. But none of that matters because your journey has elevated you to a place where external reactions no longer disturb your internal peace. Chosen one, there is a glow forming around you that cannot be dimmed by darkness. You have endured too much, learned too much, transformed too much to return to a smaller version of yourself. God has walked with you through valleys so deep you thought you'd never rise again. He has carried you across bridges you were afraid to cross. He has whispered strength into you when your spirit felt faint. And because of that intimate companionship, you now walk with a light that comes from knowing that even in your darkest moments, you were guided, held, and loved. That kind of knowing changes a person. It makes them unshakable. It makes them unstoppable. It makes them unbreakable. But let me tell you something even deeper. Something most people overlook. God did not only walk with you in your solitude. He walked through you. In your quiet moments, He shaped your tongue to speak healing. In your silence, He prepared your voice to speak truth. In your isolation, He gave you revelations that could never have come through crowded rooms. You are not meant to merely survive. You are meant to pour. You are meant to uplift. You are meant to transform atmospheres simply by stepping into them. You are meant to be a vessel of strength, of compassion, of wisdom, of divine presence. This is why your path required solitude, because vessels of this magnitude cannot be formed in the noise. And chosen one, something remarkable happens when God chooses to walk with you. Your footsteps begin to align with purpose effortlessly. Doors that once resisted you begin to open. People who carry divine assignment begin to appear. Opportunities you once chased begin to seek you. It is not luck, it is not coincidence. It is alignment. When God walks with you, you shift from forcing to flowing, from searching to attracting, from surviving to thriving. That is the season you are stepping into now. The season where your hands will not return empty. The season where your tears will be replaced with laughter that comes from your belly. The season where your prayers will turn into testimonies so powerful that others will find faith through you. This is your awakening. You may not fully grasp it, but your loneliness was the seedbed of your elevation. While others were surrounded by crowds, you were surrounded by God. While others were distracted, you were being refined. While others sought validation, you sought truth. And now the fruit of that hidden season will begin to bloom in your life in ways that will leave even you breathless. People will wonder how you rose so gracefully. They will wonder how you carry so much peace. They will wonder how your presence feels like still water in a chaotic world. And you will smile, not because you owe them an explanation, but because you finally understand what your soul has known all along. Solitude was never your punishment. It was your sacred preparation. Chosen one, I want you to breathe deeply at this moment. Inhale the strength of everything you have survived. Exhale the burdens that no longer belong to you. Feel your essence settling into who you are becoming. Feel your energy rising. Feel your heart expanding with a new kind of courage, one that no longer trembles at the idea of being alone. Because now you know, you were never truly alone. You were walking with a presence that does not leave, does not betray, does not diminish, does not disappear.